We can dance if you want to. We can leave your friends behind. As the light fades away this evening, we shall attempt, I suspect in vain, to beat the sun. Hey guys, today's video is a fun one. I thought we'd have a little natter about some of the pets that I really want to get at some point, and the various reasons for why that will be at some point and not right now. I'm sure I've named this video something a little less clumsy than that. I get asked a lot about the type of pets I'd like to keep in the future. I also get, strangely, recommendations on pets. Are you looking for something new to spend all your money on? Well, have I got just the thing? Parakeets! 5-star rating. There are a few animals I've set my heart on getting at some point in my life, and there are a few that are on the maybe list. They're in consideration at the moment, so I'm going to talk about all of those animals that I may at some point get in the future, and if it doesn't appear in this video, you can just assume I don't want it. We're going to start with the one pet I've wanted forever. Longer than I've wanted hamsters, longer than I've had hamsters, and I'm so sad that it's just, my life has never been in a place where I can actually keep these animals, and that is ferrets. I've wanted them now for, it's got to be coming up to 8 years, 7 or 8 years. It's been a long time. I wanted them way back before I got my first hamster. At the time I fell in love with them, I was in my mid-teens. I had just got my first ever computer and had access to the World Wide Web for the first time ever. And we should point out here, I was not a teen like back in the 90s or anything. This was 2009, 2010? Yeah. But I had access to the internet and I was discovering all these new things, and ferrets, I knew ferrets existed, but I didn't know how amazing they could be until I was able to dive into their care and how amazing they are, and just all the quirks about them, and I totally fell in love. And I was doing all my research thinking, I've got to get myself some ferrets, I need ferrets. And unfortunately, the more research I did, the less likely it seemed that I was in a position at that time to have ferrets. And I know looking back now that it was the right choice not to get any back then. I definitely would not have been able to provide them with everything they needed. But at the time I was doing the research, I had gone to a pet shop one day to do research into the finances of buying all the stuff that they would need. And it was while I was there and while I was in the state of realizing I probably can't have any, that I saw for the first time Roborovsky dwarf hamsters, and I fell in love with those, and they were a much more obtainable pet at the time, so I ended up getting those. They were my first ever hamsters, and about half a year later, maybe a bit more, I started this channel. So yeah, without ferrets this channel wouldn't exist, because I wouldn't have been in the pet shop that day, wouldn't have seen Roborovskys, wouldn't have started this chain reaction. To this day, I am still totally in love with ferrets, and I really hope that someday I can have them. I'm currently getting my ferret fix from Mzotic's channel, because, oh, Dobby and Niffler, they're just... But I am still not in any position to keep any. We don't have the space for them. I would really want to be in a position where I could dedicate one room to them, because we do have our dogs, which I feel would treat ferrets like chew toys. I don't think it'd be safe to have them living in a home unless we had a nice big dedicated space for them. So I have absolutely no idea when I will ever get to have ferrets, whether it's going to be 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, or whether I'm going to have to wait until I'm old and retired. But I really hope I don't miss out on having them. The next pet I've also wanted for a very long time, not quite as long as ferrets, but getting there, about 6 years I've wanted these, and that is rats. Oh, rats. Beautiful little things. With rats, I'm in a slightly different boat to ferrets. It's not that I'm not able to take care of them, it's that here in Cyprus, rats are incredibly hard to find. Rodents are not popular pets. Over here, people like fish, they like birds, but rodents are just... they're not people's thing. And of course, if you've watched my channel long enough, you'll know that finding ethical breeders is basically impossible, and we don't have the option of adopting small pets. So we're limiting the number of places we can go to, and then also taking the animal out of the ones left over. I have seen rats here one time, and it was not that long ago, it was a couple of weeks ago. I got very excited, and then I discovered these were all hairless rats, and I later discovered the massive controversy around hairless rats because of the serious unethical practices that go into breeding them, and also the numerous issues that can come with them. Rescuing a hairless rat is fine, but buying one from somebody who purposefully breeds them, it goes against my personal morals on ethical breeding. And once I found out about all that stuff, I was like, well, I guess I'm not getting rats this time. But seeing them did give me hope. Maybe rats are coming to the island. Maybe they're going to slowly become more widely available. Over the years, I have seen more and more different animals crop up in pet shops. I'm not sure if it's getting easier to import more exotic animals, or, you know, what's going on. Maybe there's more demand for them. I'm not sure. But slowly, things are starting to change. So you never know. In the future, I might be able to get some rats. I've heard whisperings from one person that a shop I have been to one time about 5 years ago that I've never been back to because it was just horrendous, they might have feeder rats there. And so at some point I do want to go and just sort of inspect the place, see if their standards have changed, which they might have done. Maybe their animals are in better conditions. Maybe they might be at a place where I'm happy to support them if they have feeder rats, but it's a lot of ifs and maybes. Oh, we're really starting to lose that sunshine now. Actually, it's gone. It's behind the hill. We're surviving on leftover light. The next animal I definitely 100% want at some point in my life, although that probably won't be until I am old and retired, so it's not going to be a YouTube thing, is chickens, and possibly ducks as well. The hope is to eventually be able to buy our own home, because of course right now we live in rented. One day in the far future though, we will hopefully buy our own home with a little plot of land, and we'll be able to have chickens and maybe some ducks, but chickens for sure. Gotta have chickens. Everyone's gotta have chickens at some point. They're just a basic pet you've got to have. Unless, of course, you are the majority of people. Now, those are pets I definitely want to have at some point, but now we're going to be moving on to pets that I think I want, but I'm not. They're not on my 100% list yet. They're kind of 90%. They're animals that I think I'd like to have, but if I didn't end up having them, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me. First animal on this list is a hedgehog, and I've only recently developed a sort of leaning towards them. I've never disliked hedgehogs, they're wonderful little creatures, but I never really thought of having one as a pet. They seemed really exotic to me because, I mean, it's not until recently that they've become particularly popular and you see a lot more people with them. And I know you can get hedgehogs here, but right now we don't have the space, nor do we have the ability to regularly get hold of their food, which is a big issue. Because we live in a little rural village, we don't really have many stores here, many supplies. We have one pet shop that is basically just dog food and cat food. That's essentially all it sells. So if we want to get more exotic pet supplies, we have to go up to the city, or we have to go to a completely different district. Now, going to the city is fine because we can catch a bus and go up there, but going to another district, that's something we need a car for, and neither of us are drivers. We do not own a car, and yeah, so bit of a problem. But yeah, until we have a car, which I don't, that could be years away. Another animal that requires us to have a car to care for is a crested gecko. Now, this one is less 90% and more sort of 95%. I'm a little more certain on this one. I think crested geckos are absolutely beautiful. But the main thing that's preventing us from having leopard geckos, aside from, of course, space and money, which I should have mentioned with the other animals, that's a big factor that comes into not getting other animals. But aside from that, there is also the fact that to get their food, their supplies, we need to be able to travel to other districts in order to get their basic supplies. The next animal that has quite recently made my maybe list, sometime in the last year, is sugar gliders, and they are, oh, have you ever just watched sugar gliders? So cute. Now, I adore sugar gliders. However, the main thing that puts me off from them is their long lifespan. They live a long time. There's also a big issue with finding decent suppliers of sugar gliders here, not because they're hard to find, but because the few that we have don't seem to be so ethical in their practices. It all seems a little too close to mill breeding. I'm gonna put the light on because this is just looking silly now. I think if I were to get sugar gliders, it would not be anytime soon. It would probably be many years into the future, so no holding your breath on that one. The final animal that's on my maybe list, and this one's a really strange one for me because it is totally out of my comfort zone when it comes to animal care, is a Siamese fighter fish. It's very very, very weird to me that these would end up on my maybe list, because I am not a fish person. In no way am I a fish person. I have no desire to keep tanks of fish, to keep shoals of fish. I'm not into that world. You can't hug them and they have to live in water. No. So it's extra weird that I've found myself drawn more and more towards fighter fish, and I think I could at some point end up having one. Right now, like I say, it's on my maybe list. That's kind of just the reason I'm not fussed for getting one right now. That's the reason I don't have one. But I could see myself having one at some point in the future, maybe a few years down the line. Almost every pet I've mentioned in this video is something that if I get them, I won't be getting them for many years into the future. Thank you, Elizabeth, for meowing while I'm talking. Meow. So please don't be holding your breath on it. Please don't be asking for care videos or anything on animals that I have no experience keeping, because I can't help you there. And also, I'm good for recommendations. Please don't recommend more pets to me. Anyway, I thought this video would be a bit of fun, something different to fill in the week, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as become apparent now, you have to ring that bell as well, otherwise you may not get told when a new video goes up. Oh, that cat. Why are you so noisy? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.